Okay, I ordered a Horton Series, Welder Series, universal front cross member for 56-inch width. I'll show you a couple things on this. It's pretty simple layout. I am going to be running tubular upper and lower control arms, so it has a gusset on the back. This is 5/8 of an inch. If you're just going to run a normal control arms, which nobody does anymore, it's 1/2 inch. So these, I'm sorry, yeah. Anyway, and then they slot this because you can run a power rack or a manual rack, and this is fixed. These are welded on there. The welds are pretty decent. Got a few little things I got to kind of dress it up when I'm done. So, based upon that, this is how it kind of lays out. So this would be the driver's side right here, front, and the my frame is from the inside of my frame rail over to my inside of my frame rail over here is 27 inches. So from the outside to the outside is 30, which gives me a difference of 3 inches. So I measured in 1.5 inches. Those are going to be my vertical cuts. Then my spindle center line is going to be about 13 to 14 inches. This notch on a cross member here, this is the bottom, which is 3.5 inches up from the lower control arm center bushing, 3.5 inches up. This is the spindle center line. And so I basically just drew a line straight across from there. And this is the piece I got to cut out. So that being said, the distance from the center line of the lower control arm to the front of the A arm, and they're angled so you have 3 degrees of anti-dive, is 9.25 inches. And so when I measure from the center line of here up to the top of my hat is 9.25 inches. And it just so happens the way they lay these out, it comes right in where this bend is here. So that is the top of that. So essentially this is going to be cut out. The cross member is going to slide up underneath the bottom of the frame. The frame will be basically here. My frame is 4 inches tall. So from here up 4 inches, that would be the top of my frame up in that area. And right now, this dimension here is 3. So this will be 1 inch under the top of my frame. So this is 3 inches. My frame is actually 4 inches. Then these, the upper hats for the springs, okay, you need to have from the top of your frame to the bottom of this 1 inch of clearance, because there's T-bolts that goes shaped like a T, goes in and it turns 90 degrees, and that's where your lower control arm bolts onto. So you got to have about 1 inch clearance in there. So Paul actually sends you a couple of pieces of metal, smaller ones and bigger ones, and these are basically, they go onto there, and then the other piece I believe goes on in here. I'll have to double check all that. But so this is the height difference. So from here up to the top of that, on the front of it should be, yeah, the center line of the lower control arm to the top of the hat is in the front 9.25 inches. So this essentially, the bottom of this is going to be at the bottom of my frame, and so this will fit over that, and these sit I think 1.75 inches further forward than the subframe. So that's kind of how that goes together. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's how it kind of goes onto there. So then what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to cut and mark, after I get these set up, I think the center line of the shock mount on top is either 35 or somewhere in there, 35 or 36.5 inches. So I'll measure those, clamp this all down to the frame, and I'll measure how far out I have to go. And essentially I think I'm going to have to cut up and over, and then that will go on the top of the frame. So that will be the Mustang 2 cross member. Like I said, the welds aren't perfect. They got a couple little goobers here and there, but dress them out and they'll look pretty nice. It's a very affordable front deal, cross member, and costs just a couple extra bucks to have them weld in the whole cross member together, and also to weld in the strut. Instead of having a strut rod, you have the lower tubular control arm to weld this on and weld the tubing into there. I think those pieces were 60 bucks, and then whatever you charge to have it welded together. Still cheaper than like a Fat Man or Heights, but the thing you have to realize is that I still have to buy lower control arms, shocks, spindles, springs, upper A arms, T-bolts, Granada rotors, which are Ford bolt pattern, and that all together, there's a guy on eBay that sells all those pieces with the manual, or can't remember, it's either manual or power rack. It's like $900 and some and change. So altogether, I'll probably have about 1,300 bucks. It's 3/16 steel, laser cut, what appears. Good quality. Like I said, the welds, everything's solid. So that's kind of how the Mustang 2 crossmember is going to lay out on the Willys frame.